Hello, my friends. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Look at this house. If I won the lottery, I would buy this house. Yes, I would. It's beautiful. And if I won the lottery, I'd buy a beach house too, just like this. I am speaking in the second conditional here. What is the second conditional? I will explain, my friends. The second conditional is for imaginary situations and their possible consequences. We use if plus simple past for the imaginary situation, and we use would and verb for the possible consequence. For example, if I lived near the beach, I would learn to surf. In the imaginary situation, we use if in the simple past, if I lived, and for the possible consequence, we use would and the verb, would learn. Now, in Portuguese, this is very difficult. Se eu morasse perto da praia, eu aprenderia a nadar. Vish! Morasse. What is morasse? That's very difficult, my friends. Portuguese is very difficult. English is easy. Now, notice, when the if part is first, if comes first. Here, look at the if at the beginning of the sentence. We use a comma, a virgula, to separate it from the possible consequence. If I lived near the beach, comma, virgula, I would learn to surf. But here, the possible consequence comes first, and the imaginary situation with if comes second. The imaginary situation with if is at the end of the sentence. And here, no comma is necessary. No comma here. Look, here, if at the front, comma. Here, if at the end of the sentence. No comma, my friend. No comma. All right, second conditional, negatives. The imaginary situation. If I lived near the beach, the possible consequence, I wouldn't learn to ice skate. Here in the negative, just put wouldn't or would not. I would not learn to ice skate, or I wouldn't learn to ice skate. Easy, my friends. And second conditional, yes, no questions. If you lived near the beach, would you learn to surf? Here, we put would in the front of the subject. Would you learn to surf? Would you eat sushi? Would you learn Japanese? And here we have the short answers. Yes, I would. No, I wouldn't. Respostas curtas. Very easy. All right. In conditional sentences with the verb to be in the past, this is the normal conjugation of the verb to be. I was, eu estava, eu era. You were, você estava, você era. She, he, it was, we were, they were. This is the normal conjugation. But in conditional sentences, we only use were. We don't use was. I were, you were, she were, he were, it were, we were, they were. For example, if I were rich, I'd buy a beach house. If I was rich, no, if I were rich. When we have if in the conditional, we use were, not was. Okay. Now, and be able to. Be able to in Portuguese is ser capaz de. Now, we use modal verbs plus be able to. We don't use modal verbs and can. Can, no. Modal and can, no. And you say, what's a modal verb? Modal verbs include can, could, would, should, will, might, may, must. These are all modal verbs, and we don't use modal verbs with can. Modal verbs express possibility, probability, capacity. Modal verbs don't express action. For example, I run. Run is an action, my friend. I am running. Run is an action. I can. I can is not an action. You cannot do can. No. Can is not an action. Can expresses possibility or probability or capacity, not an action. And two modal verbs can't be together. So a modal verb and can can't be together. For example, he can exercise tomorrow. No. He will be able to exercise tomorrow. Can, no. Will is a modal verb. Will be able to. Vai ser capaz de. Schools can open soon. No. Can, no. Should be able to open soon. Should is a modal verb. Today, you can speak English. Today, you must be able to speak English. Deve ser capaz de speak English. Must is a modal verb. Brazil can win in 2022. Brazil might be able to win in 2022. Might is a modal verb. Can, no. Might be able to. Okay, other vocabulary for the chapter. Discuss and discussed. This is a false cognate. Discuss is not discutir in Portuguese. Discuss means to exchange ideas. Discuss is peace, my friends. Discuss is a conversation. Discuss in the simple present and discussed in the simple past and past participle. I discuss, I discussed, I have discussed. A meeting. A meeting is when people join to discuss specific topics, typically at work. Look, here they are having a meeting at work. They are having a discussion. She is discussing with her coworkers. Propose is to introduce an idea. For example, Pam proposed a new plan in the meeting. She introduced a new idea. Propose in the simple present, proposed in the simple past and past participle. I propose, I proposed, I have proposed. Borrow and borrowed. In Portuguese, you say pedir emprestado. For example, I borrowed money from my mom many years ago. Now, borrow in the simple present, borrowed in the simple past and past participle. I borrow, I borrowed, I have borrowed. Lend and lent. In Portuguese, you say emprestar. For example, the bank lends people money. Lend and lent. Lend in the simple present and lent in the simple past and past participle. I lend, I lent, I have lent. And remember, borrow is pedir emprestado and lend is emprestar. This is an important difference. Suggest and suggested. This is a verb for when giving a suggestion. For example, Bob suggested I meditate when stressed. Suggest in the simple past. Suggested in the simple... Suggest in the simple present. Suggested in the simple past and past participle. I suggest. I suggested. I have suggested. Notice and noticed. This is used synonymously with perceive, perceber in Portuguese. For example, I noticed my neighbors love dogs when I saw their dog houses. Notice in the simple present, noticed in the simple past and past participle. I noticed, I have noticed. This is a wheel. A wheel is what moves a bike, car, or motorcycle. A wheel is a roda in Portuguese. And this is a tire. A tire is the rubber protection of a wheel. A pneu in Portuguese. And the expression as simple as that. In Portuguese, it means simples assim. As simple as that. And finish. Bye-bye. See you later, alligator in a wild crocodile.